Salute Booktube, welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I'm at volume 3 of my Celebrating Booktubers series that I started. For those of you who are regulars on this channel, you'll know I've explained why I'm doing this. But if you're new, I'll give you a quick overview. I had celebrated 1 year, 200 subscribers, and 100 videos almost at the same time, just about a month ago now. And I made a kind of a celebratory video, and then after I uploaded it, I went traveling for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks actually. Um, and in that time I was traveling, I completely disconnected. I closed all all social media, all. I went, uh, full R&R. But when I did come back from my travels and I opened my booktube channel, I saw a lot of congratulations, congratulatory messages from commenters, from subscribers, from viewers, and from fellow booktubers. And I also got a lot of mentions, I got a lot of tags, and I wasn't able to do it at the time. So I said, how can I respond to all of this? It's hard for me to tag people on tag videos because they're a bit dated now. I don't know who's done what tag, and it'll take me too long to shift through. So what I thought I'd do is just celebrate, mention a certain booktuber per video, either respond to the tag that they tagged me in, or respond to a mention that they made, or respond to just comments they've made generally, and try to highlight other booktubers, try to um, encourage all of you maybe to check them out, subscribe to them. You should, for every booktuber that I mention. Um, so yeah, with that, I thought I'd continue this series. So we're at this is volume 3. Um, and for this one, I thought I would celebrate my friend Jeff. Jeff's channel is called Reading Still Matters, and Jeff and I, what we share in common is a love of history. Jeff, he doesn't read exclusively history, but I think it's his favorite subject. It's my favorite subject. Um, so that's what connects us to most. And Jeff, just before he left, just before I left, and it was unfortunate because he made a tag related to history books, or he didn't make the tag. He wasn't the originator of this tag, but he revived it, and he did this tag, and he tagged me, but unfortunately he tagged me just before I was traveling. So I'm getting to this very, very late. Maybe it's been almost a month since he's made this video, and I've seen, or made this tag, and I've seen other booktubers do it. So it's revived, and it's, again, for the historical minded like myself. It's a really cool tag. So thank you, Jeff, for tagging me. Apologies for the late reply. I will link Jeff's channel and the original video in the description below. Um, and yeah, I thought I would just do this tag, and again, celebrating Jeff as well. So please do check out his channel. It's an awesome channel. Just a cool guy with a cool channel. So we'll start with the prompts. There's about 8 of them, and again, mostly related to history. So right down my wheelhouse. So I'm excited about this one. The first prompt, I think I should mention the creator of this tag. It was created by the Novel Nomad, which is a channel. When I checked the channel, it hadn't been updated in a year, but I'll also link that. That's only fair. She's a booktube channel that's been that hasn't posted in a year, but credit where credit's due. But let's start with the prompts. The first prompt is first steps. What book, movie, person, place introduced you to history, historical fiction? So for this, I wanted to say a person or place. The place was school. The person was teachers. Just history class. History class. Um, um, I I don't know, when do you actually get textbooks and history textbooks? Is it like the 4th grade, or the 4th standard, as the British call it, like 5th? I don't know, when you're 9, 10 years old, 11, you get introduced to this kind of stuff. I just gobbled it up. I just loved it. I was like, what is this subject? All the other subjects were not interesting to me, but this one, for some reason, I was just good at it. I don't know how, but I was. And at a very young age, I just loved it. And I've loved it ever since. So I don't have a specific book. I mean, there were specific books, but I can't remember. Um, but I do remember broad subject matters. I remember for some reason the Seven Years' War, which in North America was called the French and Indian War. But I remember that specific war because it was like the first ever global world war. This was a war between France and Britain for colonial mastery of the world. It had theaters in North America, as we mentioned, the French and Indian War. It had theaters in India, which is not too far from where I'm from. And for those of you who are new, I'm based in the United Arab Emirates, which is in the Middle East. And there was also the European front, so it was a global war, and this was in the 18th century, and it was. I found it fascinating. I don't have books about it, unfortunately, in this library because I don't have any books for it. But the other subject I remember was Napoleon. Just Napoleon as a young boy. I don't know why Napoleon. Just I guess just his very, I won't say very humble, but we'll say middling origins to his rise to power was quite impressive. So for this, I have this book. This wasn't from my childhood, but this is much later. I purchased this much later, and it's in my library now. But I remember just gobbling up Napoleon when I was 10. But the book I have now on the side, because Napoleon came into the Middle East. He was this French general who just abandoned Europe for a while and just came to the Middle East. And this book discusses that historical historical event. It's Paul Strathern, and it's Napoleon in Egypt. Sorry about the glare. I hate these white or black covers, and then when there's plastic. Is that a bit better? Maybe this way. I think this is better. And the subtitle is The Greatest Glory. So, again, there's it's good. There's no stereotypical picture of Napoleon with the pyramids behind him, but I'm sure this is the famous. There is you can see the Battle of the Nile, and then in the background you can see the pyramids. But this is that story, and then there's of course Champollion, who was part of Napoleon's army and who had deciphered the hieroglyphics. So this, when I was a kid, this subject matter, and I've loved history ever since. Really, for those of you who are regulars on my channel will know. If you're new here, just keep watching. Number 2, Well-Trodden Path. What is your favorite historical recommendation? Book, place, movie. For this, I'm going to give a place. And that place is, again, it was here, but Napoleon in Egypt. It's Egypt. Egypt. Talk about history. Talk about one large outdoor museum. That's what Egypt is, if you are especially into your ancients. But I think everybody, I mean, it's so popular as a tourist destination. It just speaks to the human spirit. Egypt does, with the pyramids, and then just the millions and billions of artifacts of ancient Egypt that survive in just excellent quality, and the what's the word, the achievement of these ancients in Egypt along the Nile. If you go to Egypt, you probably land in Cairo, and the pyramids are now in suburban Cairo. Really, the urban sprawl has reached the pyramids. But once you're done with Cairo and the museums in Cairo, you can go south to Luxor and south into what is Upper Egypt. Just you'll be Egypt out by the end of it. One just large museum, outdoor, like this. You're in cities, you walk in and you see temples. It's incredible. You can go to northern Egypt, or there's lower Egypt. It's a bit confusing, but Alexandria and all that. And then Egypt ancient Egypt is gonna take the majority of your interest if you do go to Egypt. But then medieval Egypt and Islamic Egypt is just as interesting. Modern Egypt is just so. I would say Egypt as a place. I want to choose a place. If you wanted the book, I took out this one. If you're into ancient Egypt, this is later ancient Egypt when the Romans come, when Caesar comes. This is Stacy Schiff's Cleopatra. This, what was the prompt say? What is your favorite historical recommendation? It would be a good historical recommendation to give about Egypt, but more than the book, it's the place. And you get any book about Egypt, it's gonna have pictures. If it's about ancient Egypt, it's gonna have photography for sure. Even if it's a dense historical text, it's gonna have photography, so you can't go wrong. And then even a picture book of ancient Egypt is just fun to marvel at, just to look at. So number 3, it says good boots. What is your favorite historical fashion era? For this fashion era, I would probably have to say the Middle Ages. Again, there's so much. I would have also gone to ancient because it'd be nice to kind of recreate how the ancients used to dress and how they looked. But for this, I'll go for Middle Ages. There's just something about the colors and the fabrics and for this, I think I've got a few more than, but this is. I found a few of these kinds. I have a few of these kind of books, and I tend to pick them up for some reason. But this is the one that was closest to hand. It's from the Brief History of a series. It's by Martin Whittock, and it's called Life in the Middle Ages. Again, this glare. And then the subtitle is Scenes from the Town and Countryside of Medieval England. This focuses on England, but when I say Middle Ages, you include Europe, and then Middle Ages, you also include the Islamic world. If you want to focus on Europe, Islamic Spain, Andalusia, that's very interesting. The Middle East, the Middle Ages in the Middle East has fascinating outfits for sure if you look at artistic works and paintings, etc. But focus on Europe. There's there's so many different characters, and that's why I think these books are quite popular. Just rather than narrative histories of the Middle Ages, sort of kind of like thematic. So language. The chapters here, if we just go quickly. I'm sure there's something about costumes, the character, the changing countryside, the growth and decline of towns, changing expressions in Christian belief, population, diet and health, women and family, law and order, language, culture, and entertainment. There's nothing about fashion, but I'm sure it plays a part here, and there are other books. And then I just wanted to highlight, I had this book. I had recently done a tour of my childhood books, my childhood show, which I've meant a lot of, not all, but a lot of my childhood books survive, and I've still got them. And when I was doing, I did a library tour of them, and I found this. I have this book again, very small children's book called Clothes and Costumes, and then the subtitle says with fold-out 16th century fashion. So 16th century isn't really Middle Ages, but this is. I mean, you've got. I think this is Native American, South Latin American. You've got the ancients. You've got, what is that? You've got some medieval stuff, but this one is pretty cool. It's got this fold out, the 16th century fold out. You get an Elizabethan lady, and it gives you a lot of details of the gloves and the hat and the with all kinds of again, for a children's book, quite detailed. And then on the other side, you get the 16th century Elizabethan man, the male version. Again, quite some details. So yeah, costumes. I've always, because I'm a big proponent of turning history into stories or into film or series. That's definitely, and it's so popular. And it is popular if you're able to visualize it. So I've always been a fan of costumes and visuals. So I could have chose other, just coming now to mind, the 16th and 17th century, those wigs, the Louis XIV style. Anyway, but we'll stick to those. I'd say medieval, and especially jesters. I'm fascinated by jesters, and yeah. Again, maybe for another video. Um, um, I was going to the next book without seeing what the next prompt is, but we will check that right now. That was number three. We're at number four, close to home. What is a historical read set in your home country? So I am in the United Arab Emirates. That's where I'm from. For this, I chose. This is, I mean, people. History of this part of the world is very obscure. Very few people know about it. It's very specialized. It's even people who live here, expats who live here in this country is 90% expat. Don't know about the history of this place before oil, but the book I chose, I've got a whole library. That whole library is mostly the United Arab Emirates and the Gulf. This whole shelf. So I got a lot of books, but the one I chose here is by Donald Hawley, and it's called The Trucial States. Sorry about the glare. I don't know if you can see that. The Trucial States. Um, and this is the name Trucial States. The country now is called United Arab Emirates, and that's the name that was given to the country after independence in 1971, which was only 55 years ago. Before that, this part of the world was called the Trucial States, and that was a name given to it by the British. The British, prior to being called the Trucial States, had called this place the Pirate Coast, because they had accused the people that were living here of piracy. Of course, it wasn't piracy, it was self-defense, but the British called it piracy from their point of view. They stamped down on that piracy, and once they stamped down on this piracy, they made a truce with the local leaders here. So that truce turned the pirate coast into the Trucial States, because they were in a almost eternal truce with the British Empire, which was very strong and close by India. So this is that history, the history before the United Arab Emirates. So, the 19th and 20th century, mostly the 19th and 20th century. That's when the British, after the Napoleon. Well, I don't want to lecture now, but that's the book. That's the recommendation. It's not a recommendation. It's just what did the prompt say exactly? Did it say recommendation? I don't think so. It just said, what is historical read set? Just set in your home country. So that's the one I came up with. Number five, The Trail Not Taken. What historical areas do you avoid? What eras do I avoid? I avoid a lot, actually. Once upon a time I thought I could cover everything, but it's not possible. And then you have favorites, and you have specializations, and you have. Unfortunately, I avoid a lot of Japanese history. But I know it's completely, and people who I trust, and people who booktubers and other readers who I trust and who love history can't get enough of Japanese history. So that's one I avoid, but I avoided it because I'm like, wow, well, how relevant is it? But I'm sure there's lessons to be learned from it. So that's one I avoid. I think the other one I avoid as well is Renaissance. The Renaissance. I don't know. I feel like the Renaissance was like the Renaissance leads to the rise of the West, and that's sort of history kind of drifts away. The center of history, not the center, but the power, the dominance moves west, away from the Middle East and the Far East, and so it's a bit of it's a bit tragic from my point of view. So, but the Renaissance, like if I go to museums, again, like church, like Christian art, church, it's not relevant. It's not relevant for me, or it just doesn't speak to me just because of my background. But that's the same with books. I mean, you can't avoid the Renaissance. I mean, I love Voyages of Discovery, Christopher Columbus, and all of that stuff, and the others. That's Renaissance. I really enjoy like Henry VIII, the Tudor era. That's, I guess you can call Renaissance. But that coming of Renaissance, it's important part of history. But for me, I don't know. But I still do have books. I found this big, very impressive with photos book, and I couldn't avoid it, even though I avoid this subject mostly. But because of the price and the book and the quality of the book and the artwork in it, it's this book, Florence, a Portrait, by Michael Levy. And I think this is, if you're talking about the Renaissance, Florence was the epicenter, but it's full of, I mean, there's text, but there's so many photos. For the price, I couldn't resist it. Although, again, this subject matter, there's so chapter 8 is Lorenzo de Medici and the most beautiful city. So, when I say I avoid these, there are other eras. There's some parts of European history doesn't really resonate with me, but when I say avoid, and the same with the Japanese, I want to change that. I would love to explore new areas, new eras. So, what's next? Number 6, trail map. What historical reads are on your TBR? Well, for this, starting in July, we're starting a new quarter of Historathon, that's Q3, and that coincides with my personal reading, which is celebrating America's 250th anniversary. So, America, the founding of America, or the Western discovery of America, was in 1492. Add a couple of years, that's 1500. That's when Q3 Historathon starts. That's what it covers, 1500 to 1820. So that coincides with a lot of early American history. So I'm going to be doing probably a lot of reading, and I've got a lot of books about American history that I want to read. If it's good, I keep. If it's not good or not very pertinent, I want to get rid of, because I need to make space. So I've got a bunch. I just showed some, and I hope to read these at least in the first couple of months of Q3 Historathon. I have this. It's Nathaniel Philbrick, Valiant Ambition, George Washington, Benedict Arnold, and the Fate of the American Revolution. There'll be a lot of revolutionary books. This one, Founding Brothers, The Revolutionary Generation by Joseph J. Ellis. This is a Pulitzer Prize finalist by Nick Bunker, An Empire on the Edge, How Britain Came to Fight America. Sorry if it's not very clear, but these are books I've just picked up through the years, and I don't know if I need 50 books about America, early American history. Brothers at Arms, this is by Larry D. Ferrero. American Independence and the Men of France and Spain Who Saved It. So, kind of. I've got a bunch of... So, what I want to do is... I need to clear these books. I want to read them, but then... I don't need to keep all of these. Unfortunately, even with me, even with all these shelves, I have space issues. So those are my TBR, and it's probably gonna dominate my summer reading. This is July 4th and going forward. Special July 4th, 250th anniversary. Number 7, Pioneers. What historical person inspires you? For this one, I thought, historical figure, there's so many. For me, I narrowed down to two people, and two people who were almost at the same period of time. This is 19th century Europe. For me, the person, and I don't have this book, but I did see this book. I mentioned early in this video that I was traveling, and when I was traveling, I came across this book, but it was in the new bookstore. It was pretty expensive, and it's big, and I said, no way. I couldn't pull the trigger. I had to pay for it, a lot of money, and then I had to carry it, which was a bit challenging because it's a big book. The book is by Wolfram Simon, and it's a biography of this person who's my inspiration, Metternich, strategist and visionary. His full name? What's his full name? I'll find, because I've got another book, but it's not as attractive as this one that I just showed right here. Sorry about the glare again. It's this one, and this is like a booklet. It's like part of it's sort of a kind of like a I don't know what you call it, like a not a magazine, but you'll get it when you see it. It's called Metternich, the Coachman of Europe, and then the subtitle is Statesman or Evil Genius. It's by the it's Problems in European Civilization kind of booklet. It's by Henry F. Schwartz. I also found this in a used bookstore in a previous trip, but it was super cheap. I just picked it up and easy to carry. Um, what is his full name though? Prince Metternich. They don't even Metternich the man. It should. Well, anyway, Klaus, something like that. But Metternich, I should put this one. This is a much better. Um, why I'm inspired by him. Again, it says here, strategist and visionary. Now, whether he was a good man or a bad man, that's beside the point. But the strategy and the vision was impressive. Although his strategy and vision really collapsed pretty much after he died. But the idea that he used his personal, as a European aristocrat, he was able to link his personal his personal uh, his personal interests with the interests of Europe, preserving the aristocracy which he was a part of, and controlling the Austro-Hungarian Empire to reflect his interests. Quite impressive, very impressive. And again, I wanted to get this book, but I just couldn't. I couldn't justify it. Maybe I'll get a Kindle edition. Maybe I'll find it here in the Middle East where I'm at. Maybe buy it new if it's available, although it might be expensive. Impressive person. The other person I have, and I have a book about him, but I couldn't find it, and I didn't want to make a mess. The and it's not really an attractive. It's another older book, similar to this. Nothing really to show, but it was Talleyrand. So if Metternich was the foreign minister of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Talleyrand was the foreign minister of France, and Talleyrand is an inspiration for me because Talleyrand was an excellent diplomat. He had started as a diplomat for the King of France, and he survived the revolution, and he was so diplomatic that he was able to continue as a foreign minister into the revolution and into Napoleon. He became Napoleon's foreign minister. That's how diplomatic and how genius he was. So another kind of obscure historical figure that I see as an inspiration. Of course, there's so many others, but those are the ones that just came to mind. I thought I would discuss. Yeah. Last but not least, number 8, it says tag your fellow history nerds. This tag is 3 weeks old. I've seen others that I know have tagged this. I could go channel through channel, but as you'll see, I'm gonna do a series of, instead of because I've been away for so long, I don't know who's done and who hasn't, and I have to go through backlogs, and it's gonna take me a lot of time. So what I'm doing is I'm instead of tagging people, which alerts people to other booktubers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this series where I will do tags or do responses video, but I will link it to the person, to the booktuber. So for this one, it's Jeff at Reading Still Matters. So thank you, Jeff, for tagging me. Apologies again for the rate of reply. Do check out his channel. Check out his version of this tag. Check out his channel. Subscribe to it. All that good stuff. I'm going to end this one for now. Thank you for being here, Booktube. Salute.